Today I have with me 3 different audio interfaces: the Apollo Twin, the Babyface Pro FS, and the Zen Quadro. And my plan is to figure out once and for all which of these interfaces stands above the rest. And I really want to go in depth here, so I'm doing an entire series dedicated to comparing these audio interfaces, so make sure and hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the series. I'll start by giving my first impressions on the RME Babyface Pro FS, and let me tell you, it's not been great. Now, the unboxing experience was nice because it comes with a little hard shell case, a MIDI breakout cable, and a couple of USBs, which I'll go ahead and tell you is a lot better than what the other audio interfaces provide in those boxes. You also get a novel of a manual that comes with the Babyface Pro, which may not be a big deal to some, but it's good to immediately know that there are extensive resources for this interface, which isn't always the case. The interface itself feels really solid. If you're going to spend $1,000 on an audio interface, you would hope it isn't flimsy. On the back, you get 2 XLR mic pre's as well as XLR outputs, which isn't super common on an interface this size. You also get 2 additional inputs on the side, along with 2 different headphone options, standard 1/4 inch and a 3.5mm as well, which is a nice touch. On the other side, you of course have your USB port, DC power input, MIDI, and ADAT in and out. I'll note here that this is the only interface of the 3 that has an ADAT output, though the other ones do have ADAT input. I've talked about why this is important for my setup in other videos, but I'm sure I'll get into it more in this series as well. Like I said before, the Babyface feels solid, so even though I'm not a fan of the way this thing looks, and the location of these ports all being on the side baffles me a bit, everything feels really solid. But I had a terrible time getting this thing to work with my computer, and I'll get to that in a minute. But while we're still focused on the physical side of things, let's take a look at the Apollo Twin X. I used to have an older version of the Apollo Twin. I really enjoyed it and sometimes wish I didn't get rid of it. And I've gone on record saying that the reason I haven't gone back to it before is just because I think it may be a bit expensive for what you get, but I'm hoping that this will change my mind as I'm revisiting the Apollo series. But there's no denying that the Twin X is a premium piece of gear. Right out of the box, you sort of get this feeling of, yeah, this is the one. They even put it on top of this little platform as if it's royalty or something, which is kind of a fun thing. The Twin X comes with the interface itself, a power supply, and that's about it. It was a bit annoying a few years ago when I got my first Apollo and it didn't come with a Thunderbolt cable, and I have to admit I'm still feeling that a little bit with the Twin X. On the back of the interface, you get 2 combo inputs featuring the Unison mic pre technology, 4 1/4 inch outs, Thunderbolt connectivity, 12-volt power in, optical input, and an underrated feature, a power switch. So the only thing left on the front of the interface is an instrument input and a headphone output. So far I like this layout a lot more than the layout of the RME. It's just a lot cleaner once you have everything plugged in. You have a bit more to work with on the face of the Apollo with some input and monitor controls, which I'll go over in depth in the full Apollo Twin X video. And I also forgot to mention here that there's a built-in talkback mic, which can be pretty convenient if you need that and don't want to take up one of your inputs. Overall, this thing is beautiful, it's solid, and if it had an ADAT output and an included Thunderbolt cable, I'd like it even more. I'm looking forward to diving back into the Apollo series, but I'm actually more curious to take a look at the Antelope Audio Zen Quadro. This series also has plugins that can be powered by the interface's built-in DSP, and the Zen Quadro is only $699 compared to the $999 price tag of the Apollo, and the Zen Quadro has some additional features that the Apollo is missing. I will say that right out of the box, I immediately felt that the Zen Quadro did not feel quite as solid as the Babyface or the Apollo. It just doesn't feel as sturdy comparatively, but it is $300 cheaper, and unless you're going to be traveling with this thing, it's probably just going to be sitting on your desk 100% of the time. I also noticed that the buttons and volume knob are a bit louder than the other ones, and I think that's because they're a bit loosey-goosey, as I mentioned before. But if it proves its value in the other areas, I'm not going to care too much. In the box, you get the interface, a USB-C cable, and that's about it. But that's all you really need to get going with this one anyways. So on the Zen Quadro, you actually get 4 built-in mic pre's, 2 headphone outs, which is great, 4 1/4 inch outs on the back, SpeedIF in and out, dual USB-C, which is interesting, and an ADAT input, which oddly enough is sticking out of the side of the interface. I guess who cares as long as it works? Okay, maybe I care a little bit. Much like the Apollo, you get the big knob on the face of the unit to control your input gains and output levels. I actually like the idea for the digital display for the metering because in theory it means that you could see more on the interface itself. I really like the look of this one, even though it doesn't feel as sturdy as the others. It still could come out on top if the value holds up in the other areas. Next, I want to briefly talk about how easy each of these were to get going in my setup, and let me tell you, one of them was a bit of a nightmare. But before that, I just want to say a huge thank you to Zounds for letting me check out these interfaces. They're not asking me to say anything here, and obviously I'm grateful that they're helping out with this series. But more importantly, I think that they're just a great place for you to buy gear. Obviously, it depends on where you live, but I recently just had a guitar amp arrive with free shipping within 24 hours of placing my order, which is nuts. They have a ton of gear, pretty much everything you need, and they offer flexible payment plans if that's of any interest to you. So if you want to check out any of these interfaces or you need any gear at all, click my link in the description. It's also a great way to support this channel without paying any extra money to do so. Moving back around to the RME Babyface Pro FS, I wanted to see just how easy it was to plug in and make use of this interface, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Getting the RME up and running with my M1 MacBook was a bit of a nightmare. I want to say also, to the couple of people who have specifically said that I should talk about RME on this channel, you're going to think that I'm just tearing this thing apart. So just know that, like, these are my first impressions, and I think that this stuff is really important to mention as it's all a part of user experience. But I'm hopeful that some of the features we'll check out in the full review are going to make up for the minor things that I wasn't a fan of here. Basically, I plugged in the Babyface via USB, excited to try it out, and my MacBook could not find it. So then I immediately went and downloaded the driver and the Total Mix software, thinking, well, duh, of course that'll do the trick, and it certainly did not do the trick. It turns out that there was some information on this issue on RME's website, and essentially you have to turn off your computer, power it up in recovery mode, and change a couple of security settings that can only be done via this backdoor secret menu sort of thing. To RME's credit, they did put this stuff on the website, so I guess they're covered there, and I should have paid more attention. I just feel that this does hurt my initial impressions of the interface, which I feel are very important, but once you go through all these steps the first time, you shouldn't have any of these problems again. Setting up the Apollo and Zen interfaces were much easier. I downloaded the necessary software for each of them, and then they showed up as expected. I originally wanted to leave this video pretty open-ended, but I do feel like there's a clear winner here when it comes to the initial experience of getting these interfaces set up, and I'm gonna give that one to the Apollo Twin, mainly because it's solid, feels good, looks good, was easy to set up, and having most of the I/O on the back of the interface is just really clean. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these interfaces in the comments down below. Also, if you're interested in the rest of this series, let me know what you'd like to see in those videos and subscribe so you don't miss them. And as always, thanks for hanging out.